Oh, on John's Briefs today, let's get into politics. Today's video is brought to us by the generosity of Firearms Legal Protection. Firearms Legal Protection is a legal defense program for lawful gun owners. You win the fight, and they will help you win the fight after the fight for the rest of your life. There's a link in the description for a coupon code for a discount for all active self-protection watchers.
National reciprocity. I don't think it'll ever pass. I would love for it to pass. I think it had an opportunity to pass under Donald Trump's first 2 years, and we didn't get it done. I don't understand why. This was, Donald Trump was, you know, I'm NRA, I'm for carry, I'm this, I'm that, and it never got anywhere until it was time for Congress to change. So that's disappointing to me. I think having a Second Amendment right, much like your Fourth Amendment, your Fifth Amendment, or any other amendment, they should be applied all across the country equally. So if I'm able to carry a gun in Michigan, I should be able to carry a gun in Arizona, New York, wherever. The downside to the state is there's no state that has a permit that 50 other states recognize. So for example, you know, I'm out of Michigan. Michigan recognizes every residence permit. You got a permit from Hawaii, you can come to Michigan and carry. Can I turn around and carry in Hawaii? Nope. Absolutely not. So there's problems there. The biggest problem I see is, you know, some people say, well, hey, a state should decide what they want to do, but I don't think a state should be able to limit my rights, my God-given rights to defend myself, and my constitutional rights that our forefathers gave us, up to and including the Second Amendment.
Let me clarify that our forefathers protected. They're God-given rights. Our forefathers didn't give us nothing. They protected some rights. Remember, the Constitution limits our government, right? It doesn't limit you and me. It limits our government, is what the realities are. So I know some friends of mine who are against national reciprocity because they hear federal CCW license, okay? But listen, everybody, if you pulled out your driver's license, do you have a federal driver's license? You do not. You have a driver's license of your state. However, I am here in the great state of Kansas. My driver's license is out of Arizona, and is that a problem for me? No, why not?
Because you follow the laws of Arizona when you come here. I'm sorry, the
laws of Kansas. Because of the full faith and credit clause. That every state has to represent the full faith and credit of every state and has to recognize that. My marriage is valid here in the state of Kansas, even though I got married in the state of Nevada, because of the full faith and credit clause. Okay? And the fact that my CCW permit does not get backed by the full faith and credit clause is an egregious error.
Yes.
It's ridiculous on a prima facie from a legal perspective. Why in the world is this not recognized in every state in the union? That's all reciprocity has to be. All national reciprocity has to be is a line in the CFRs that say that concealed carry permits carry the full faith and credit of every state. And whatever standard that state wants to set for those, like, okay, so the ASP XO and CMO, Neil and Stephanie, they're from South Dakota. And in South Dakota, you can get a driver's license at 14.
And married at 15.
Yeah. And the reason you get it at 14 is these kids are living in rural areas and they got to drive into high school as freshmen. And it's a long drive and the bus doesn't always run out there. Now they can't have, you know, anybody but one family member with them and all these things, right? It's kind of limited. But I look at that and I go, well, in Arizona you can't. So now that kid at 14, because Arizona says you have to be 16 to drive, they can't drive in Arizona. But the second that they're 16 years old, their license is valid in Arizona, and the full faith and credit clause should absolutely do that. Now, state-by-state reciprocity, it's actually one of the reasons that I've been arguing for an Arizona enhanced permit. I've been trying to get my legislators. We've had a Republican supermajority in both houses and a supposedly Republican governor for like 5 or 6 years now, but we can't get anything done, and it drives me insane. But for me to say, I want a nation-leading enhanced permit because I want some additional reciprocity. But there are some states, California won't honor anybody's permit. Oregon won't honor anybody's permit. Hawaii won't. New York won't. New Jersey won't. Maryland won't. Massachusetts won't. Illinois won't. And so that is, again, them saying, no, you are a peasant here. And I think the full faith and credit clause should prohibit that regardless. And then this whole reciprocity map just is an antiquated concept. So that's almost, it's not the same. It's not a civil right like Civil Rights March was in some sense, because carrying a firearm is a choice. It's not like somebody's gender, somebody's skin color, those kinds of things. They got no choice in that matter. But it's still an important constitutionally protected God-given right that I think should be backed by the full faith and credit.
And you know the funny thing about our Second Amendment right, if you think about it, where on federal grounds can you carry or exercise your Second Amendment right?
Yeah, you can't. Some
Other
national
than
parks.
Hunting or national parks.
Yeah.
Can't go into a post office, you can't go into a VA hospital. And to me, that is even more egregious than anything else. You tell me I've got all these rights,
Shoot.
but I cannot exercise my rights on federal property, the people that are giving me the rights. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous in some sense. I'm a VA healthcare user, right? So I don't have health insurance. As a self-employed person, health insurance is too expensive. But I am a disabled veteran, so I have full VA health insurance. But when I go to my VA doctor, I can't even leave it in the car. The parking lot is federal property, and if I get caught with a firearm there, it's a felony. No joke, and that's club fed, man. That's not, that's not even a state level prison. You're going to club fed for, I think, 5 years for that. Just for leaving a gun in the car. Which, thankfully, my VA doc is in a outpatient clinic, is in a kind of an out clinic, and there's a park literally right across a fairly minor street. So I just park in the parking lot across the street and leave it that way. And I purposefully leave my holster on, and when the doctor goes, all right, let's drop trowel, and I go, blam, then she goes, oh, do you have a gun? Does it look like I have a gun? No, there's a holster, but there's no gun. Where's the gun? Not here. Have a nice day. And it freaked her out the first 3 or 4 times, and now she rolls her eyes at me. It's great. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.